should have painted that. Somebody from America watched all my broadcasts and he became so offended that I am calling Tifnubu the Jaga Banditi, the Jaga Addicti, Aṣíwájú ẹ̀yin olè, Aṣíwájú ẹ̀yin agbèrò, including Aṣíwájú ẹ̀yin apààyàn, People's Congress. Whether you are the closest one or those ones where no one everybody know, or you are a public voluntary slave, or a Brodian bat idiot and a Brodian bastard. Do you understand? I don't really hold back. So please, for your own sake, you need to opt out, because that's how it's going to be all the time. And like I said, right, you may pretend about who you are. When you begin to listen to Mayegun, you go collect your own. Everybody will kind of have, you will pick what belongs to you. Which of all these things Mayegun is saying affects you right now, that you are having itchy finger? You can't wait to type and call me names to defend your slave masters and all that. Right now, that, your nerve, your neurons and everything is telling you that you need to tell this idiot to shut up. And that's me, right? I do that all the time. So you can pretend about who you are, but on Mayegun's diary political, it doesn't take time. You go shuku, you go just drop up, and they'll say, but I didn't mention your name. They say, but I know that you are talking about me. I know that you are talking about me. Let me tell you something. I don't like Tinubu, but Tinubu is the best thing to just say, you better come clean. Nobody will beat you, Yeah, nobody will beat you. I won't beat you. Just come up clean so that you can lift all of that off your chest, right? Nigeria is headed for the Golgotha. Google it. The dildo senator who got kicked out of the Senate because they said he rigged this election. But he did spend there 4 years though, right? Between 2019 and 2023, in which he became a famous dildo senator. Abba. Is that his name? I think that's his name. Abba. He's added his own sort of like widow's mite, an advisor to those who are grouping as coalitions, right, to go into an election with Tifnubu. Well, it's possible to get rid of him, but you are going to have to do that with the people using the Bukwari's style according to him. If you don't make any sense, but he added something. And that's about if everything should go south. That's not good. And the military should strike. Listen to him. Dildo senator.
What time actually does INEC change result? I have been a political consultant for many years before I ventured into politics myself. Buhari came up with a mantra: Akasa, Atere, Araka. Meaning, Akasa means stay there when they are counting it. Kasa means this is your own, this is your own, this is your own, and they share it. PDP, APC, Labour Party, they say Akasa.
Yeah,
these
are your votes.
Yes, they are the votes. You say Akasa means be there when they are counting. Atare means protect it, be a megad. Guard your vote, protect it. Atare. Araka means escort it to wherever it is going. Now, elections are very important things. If we are conscious and we are alive to our responsibilities as Democrats, as electorates, as party men and women, as candidates, and we recruited people to stay there when they count it, to stay there when they write the result, and to announce the result when we are there, to confirm that this is what it is. And all agents get their own. Then they escort it to the ward. And they stay there also to the collection centers. And they also count it when they are there. They write the result. And they escort it to the local government. Where will INEC have the chance of changing it? we abdicate some of their responsibilities.
To
You made
INEC.
a mention before. When I came as an opposition, the incumbent was in power as a senator of the APC then. The governor was APC, the president was APC, House of Reps APC, local government chairman was APC, House of Assembly APC. They have their councillors, they have their commissioners, they have the police. As a matter of fact, Nigerian army went with armored tank to arrest me in my village. They told, on the eve of the election, they told them that I imported thugs from rivers from the Niger Delta. And they believed, and they went to my village to arrest me. I was not coward. And unfortunately, election was postponed that time by 2 weeks. So on Monday, I went to the barracks. I drove to the barracks to meet the commander. I said, I heard he came looking for me. Why? And he was blah, 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 blah. I said, no, tell me why you went looking for me. Because I'm not Boko Haram. So, you, an army that's saying that you are going, your duty is to be away from the polling unit so that you can give the polling unit cover. The police will be there. Your duty is not to go to hunt people in their houses before election. I told him in the barracks that I will petition you. You cannot be here forever. And if you want to join politics, remove your uniform and come and join me. And we sat with him. And he blah, blah, blah. I told him, I will petition you. I will spoil your job. It is a wake-up call for all of us in Nigeria to see Cameroon practicing half democracy, one person being in power for 40 years, Chad practicing half democracy with somebody being in power for over 40-something years and his son coming up to power, Niger having a military junta, Mali a military junta, Burkina Faso a military junta. So our neighbors surrounding us all in West and Central Africa, they are all having military regime. If Nigerian democracy collapse, a lot of burden will be, in fact, it is a step back for the whole world democracy. And that's why international bodies like America and the European Union and Britain, they shall have interest in this particular brand of government that they exported to Africa, and that is democracy. Whether it works or it doesn't work.
What's your position? Do you think democracy is not in sync with African culture? Because some of those countries you mentioned, what their new leaders are saying, new young military leaders, what they are saying is that democracy is not for Africa.
Not necessarily. I think it should be reformed in a way that it can work for Africa. We shall have our own way of democracy, not swallowing their own type of democracy.
Probably bringing our own traditional way of governance.
Governance into it. And parliamentary is a very important thing where everybody have a voice. Now, also, we should look at whether 4 years it is enough for one to measure progress or otherwise, or for someone to develop his own country. And we have to look at that too. But I believe Africa should have its own model of democracy, blending with the What time actually does INEC change result?
I said, if Ahmed Bola Tinubu fails, hold me responsible.
You say?
I say, if Tinubu fails, hold me responsible.
Thank you.
The job people are already angry that this is the worst government.
We have just started.
We must learn a lesson. This man!
You're going to trust man. Adam. Your eyes will see what your mouth cannot talk.
There was Abo, the Dildo senator, giving his own idea of what should be done if everyone is actually tired of these current settings and arrangements, and people should be more dedicated, because the people holding power are never going to just let go, right? And then you hear the part where, of course, if you look at Ibrahim Traore and how much acceptability he currently enjoys all over the world, Africa, all those places too. So somehow the politicians themselves can see that it is either democracy is failing in Africa, or it has completely failed. You see, those who are civilians who are supposed to cherish and nourish this democratic idea, which is meant to be the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, right? But it has now become the government of the few, by the few, and for the few, right? And the rest of us are just serfs on their plantation, kind of, or we should be, they expect us to, right? So the politicians know that somehow the idea of a young person in a military uniform overthrowing these relics of corrupt criminals, right? It's kind of like, to them, right? It is sort of like, smile. It feels good, they will say, to an average young African right now, including Nigeria. Do you know that somebody was actually organizing a solidarity rally for Ibrahim Traore in Edo State, that they had to arrest him before they could ban it? If not, you would have seen videos of, the supporters of a Traore in Nigeria, which would have triggered the likes of Tifnubu and Co, who believes that Traore is a threat, right? Not to anyone, but to the African puppets who have been playing the second fiddle in the hands of the imperialists. So, if that rally was held, held in Edo State, the guy would have been a bigger soup. I don't know where he is right now, but he was arrested 2 days ago. So he's very close to home, and it's going to be a matter of time. That's why we urge them to continue the abuse of power, the impunity, like the state capture, waiting everybody, waiting want to, you cannot do anything, we show all of you, kind of impunity. Talking about impunity, another victim of that same impunity is that of DF, our own DFarotimi. He was with Shinwo Kimaloye yesterday. They had chats about almost everything, Kolu, Obi, and the rest, in which he, and then Afe Babanlaole, where for the first time in a while, he did mention something about what transpired. Hang on, he actually said he had nothing against him, although some Nigerian do-gooders went to him to plead on his behalf and all of that to discontinue the case, which is okay. According to him, he has nothing against him. But then he said something about your 2027, that if Obi actually run, he will still be behind him. Of course, right? DFarotimi, brethren.
On this particular issue, have you moved on? Have you made peace?
To be frank with you, when you use the word peace, let me continue to reassert that I was always at peace. But when it comes to demanding an account of those who have perverted the powers of the state in pursuit of a private cause, you can be certain of one thing: some people will account for my incarceration. But that is not a matter for banter. That is something for the courts to decide. You will recall that even though 2 criminal cases were filed against me at the instance of Afe Babaola and Co, both charges were withdrawn. But there are still 4 civil suits filed across the country, one in Port Harcourt, one in Abuja, one in Ogun State, and one in Oyo State, filed by members of the same law offices, the same law office. So even though the criminal suit has been withdrawn, the civil suits are there, and what I would elect to do in response to my incarceration is another ball game entirely, but you can take it to the bank. I will certainly be demanding an account from those who sent me to prison.
So in clear terms, you are going to take up the Nigerian police who made your arrest and took you from Lagos to Ekiti. In this case, you are instituting a lawsuit against the Nigerian police. Is that right?
You are the one inferring that. My lawyers will decide who and who are responsible, and they will then proceed to the court. I just know that somebody has to explain to me how I ended up in prison for a civil infraction at best. So insofar as whether it's the police that have to be sued, whether it's the magistrate who sent me to prison, whether it's the persons who wrote the petition, whether it's whoever, but somebody would explain. You see, in law, there is a Latin maxim. We say, ubi jus, ubi remedium. If there is a wrong, there must be a remedy. I went to prison. It is my contention that I was not sent to prison with the due process of law. It is my contention that impunity reigned in sending me to prison. It is my contention that the offense for which I was sent to prison is one that is unknown to law, either in Lagos where I reside or in Ekiti where I was abducted to. So if something like this has happened, it can only be expected that I will expect an account from those who have done this. You can take that for granted. Whether it's the police, whether it's private individuals, whether it's the magistrate himself, persons will render an account for locking me up in a prison cell. There must be a basis for it. 21 days of my life was taken from me. That's an entire lifetime. Some people don't live for 21 days. I was sent to prison through a process that purports to be lawful. I want that process to explain itself so that Nigerians would understand how our legal system functions. I hope we're clear. So I'm at peace.
A part of my question is whether or not you still believe, although you've said that you do not think that 2027 is up for conversation. No, I mean, the part I'm talking about, Mr. Farotimi, is the part that concerns Mr. Peter Obi. Whether you still think, because at the time,
if
you think it was the best thing to happen to that election.
Today, don't worry. If elections we hold today, remember, I don't do linguistic inexactitudes. If elections where our votes will count would hold today, I'll vote Peter Gregory Obi, unless somebody else comes into the race that I believe can do better. If it's still the same lineup as the last time, it is definitely Peter Obi that I'm voting. I would hope that he would be a little bolder with his policy platforms, but frankly speaking, in terms of capacity, in terms of integrity, there is nobody else that I will be supporting. Something drastic has to happen for me to decide that I'm not supporting Peter Obi. It might be that he teamed up with some objectionable persons that I cannot stomach, maybe because of some people that he might team up with, and that is a real possibility. But outside of that, if there is nobody else, who am I supposed to vote for Bulaba, or is it Atiku that will now queue behind in 2020 if there were to be an election today? But I actually think that our discussions of election today is actually a disservice to ourselves, because we really cannot speak in terms of an election in our current circumstances.
I'm imagining on that.
So don't waste your time about election, this election, that. His answers are very much unambiguous, okay? It's very straight. So he was asked if he's moved on, and he said, yeah, I mean, I have, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to seek answers. I've got questions. How did I end up in prison in a process that was supposed to be lawful, but it's not lawful, with no law that was supposed to send me to prison in a civil case? It's an interesting one. I remember somebody who said that if Obi become your president, right, you should just appoint DFarotimi as the Attorney General, being a Chief Minister of Justice, so that DFarotimi was like, imagination won't wound you, Abi. Anyway, we shall be monitoring. Okay, we all know that talking about election without one, a possible electoral reform, which must also start from a constitutional